Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, all three of you, and being one of the last, most of my questions have been answered, but I do want to, I don't think you're necessarily in a difficult position. I think you've done very well for the last 3 hours, answering questions very directly, and the policy and the comments you've made that this patience that we have as a country of what more sacrifices we have to make in the sense of the civilian end, the military end, the President spending the time to review the policy and set it out and create flexibility, I think has been the right move. So I disagree with my counterpart on the other side, or my Republican friend, but I would say that one thing I want to put to rest, and I want to make sure I'm clear on this, because I think you've said it 100 times, and I'm going to pound this one more time, and that's on the whole issue of withdrawal. You've made it very clear, withdrawal and transition are similar but different. And that July occurs, and it's kind of a statement, I hope that I'm right on this, that July occurs in 11, withdrawal will occur in some form, might be 100 troops, might be 50,000 troops, undetermined. It may last 1 year, it may last 1 month, might last 3 years. But the withdrawal process, which really is a transition process, is a goal that we're shooting for in 2011. Is that what I understand? Okay, I've heard this, and we're going to hear this. I hate to say this, even though I think this committee is very bipartisan, spending the time to look at this issue. There's agreement all across the board here supporting the President's mission here, and I agree with it 100%. But this whole issue of the withdrawal, everyone's trying to pull it apart. And really what you've done is set a target, giving the Afghan government a target of what we're trying to shoot for in the sense of when we think their commitments need to be at the highest level possible to start making this transition. And then there will be decisions made at the end of December leading into July of what level that might be. It might be very small, it might be very large, but that's undetermined yet, but that's the target. Am I correct in saying that? Sure. I'm hoping we're not going to...
December is more about
internal
strategy working.
Right.
Are we headed in the right direction? Are things moving the way we anticipated they would? The decisions with respect to transition would begin in July, as you've described it.
Great. I'm just hoping as we move forward on this discussion, we're not going to beat the withdrawal issue over the head so many times that it's not hard, it is a target. A target that may mean a few people, may mean thousands of people, but that will be determined as the strategy plays out. And again, I want to just echo that. Hopefully, we'll be done with that discussion. We'll support the Commander-in-Chief and you all and the efforts of our troops on the ground and the effort we need to do in Afghanistan. In that, I want to ask you a little more in depth in regards to the Afghan troops and how you see them training up. I know you've had some target amounts of 134,000 December 2010 and moving that up to 170,000, I think, by July in hopes. How confident, if you were to measure on a percent scale of 100%, obviously 100% confident, that you can reach that successfully, and what would be 1 or 2 challenges that may cause it to not get to that goal?
Well, I think that area is the highest risk area for us. We all identified that throughout and believe that, and that's where General McChrystal is. We've put great leadership in place to address that. It's got to be led by security, or we can't get there. I mean, so that we can create an environment in which more participate. Fundamental shift in the partnership piece, which is a significant breakthrough in how to do this, and we have a lot more confidence in that regard. But it's one of the reasons we really have annual targets so that we can look at how we're doing and adjust accordingly. The Secretary talked earlier about retention, attrition, you know, all those challenges that we have, more so on the police side than on the Army side. So I think we're very clear-eyed on what the challenge is. And we are going to assess ourselves rigorously throughout the process. But it is probably the biggest challenge that we have with respect to meeting the goals that we've set out for ourselves.
Very good. Secretary Clinton, I want to follow up with you. I'm actually very supportive of you getting as much flexibility with the use of your monies. I would even offer to suggest that as we deal with the defense appropriation bill, why we don't figure out how to fix this now rather than waiting until next summer, because we'll lose 8 or 9 months, which every month, every day seems critical. So I would look to you and the administration of a suggestion, seeing that we haven't done the defense components. So why not figure out how to make that happen? But your number, I think you said you're going to triple up or get to about 970, give or take a few there. But you also indicated that you need more in time. Have you figured out what that number is? I agree with you. I think as we do the military plus up, the civilian component is critical, and I appreciate your review and change that you've done to really focus on this component and getting unified efforts with the military. I think that is critical. Have you thought of a number, or is that something you give to the record at some point?
Senator, thank you. I'm hesitant to state a number now, but we will provide it to the record. But there is a larger idea that I think your question suggests. We should start looking at our budgets as national security budgets. If we're really intent upon having an integrated civilian-military strategy, and again, I have to compliment Secretary Gates, who's been an advocate of this long before I ever thought I'd be sitting here at this table in this position. We have to be willing to look across the government at a whole-of-government approach to something as critical as our national security and the mission in Afghanistan. And that's going to take some changes in how we do business and how we think about it. So I would obviously welcome the continuing support from this committee and others as we try to get it right. You know, we have, I mean, this will be, I'm sure, the subject of the Appropriations Committee, but where's the money going to come from? Is it going to be part of the budget? How's it going to be costed out? All of that has to be worked through between our government, the administration, and the Congress. But as we're doing that, I think we've got to quit stovepiping our efforts and start thinking more holistically, which is really what our policy intends to present.
My time is up, and Secretary Clinton, I want to 100% agree with you. This hearing today, and I want to thank the chairman for doing this, that it's what I consider three critical pieces to the equation are sitting in front of us today and not just one component. So I really do appreciate your comments. Anything I can do as an individual member, I'll be happy to do that. Thank you again for all your service, and thank you for bringing forward 3 hours of answers to many questions.